For over 3,000 years, it lay hidden, a secret whispered only by the desert sands. A treasure beyond imagination, a king lost to time. But in 1922, one man's obsession would change history forever. This is the story of the discovery that stunned the world, the unsealing of Tutankhamun's tomb. Are you ready to step inside? Imagine the blistering Egyptian sun, the endless expanse of sand in the Valley of the Kings. For centuries, this royal necropolis had been plundered by tomb robbers. By the early 20th century, most archaeologists believed there was nothing left to find. All the great pharaohs' tombs had been located and, sadly, emptied long ago. But one man, a British archaeologist named Howard Carter, refused to give up. He was haunted by a tantalizing clue, the name of a little-known boy pharaoh, Tutankhamun. Small artifacts bearing his name have been found scattered around the valley, suggesting his tomb must be nearby. But undiscovered. For 5 long, grueling seasons, Carter and his team searched, funded by the wealthy Lord Carnarvon. They dug trench after trench, moving thousands of tons of rock and debris under the scorching heat. Hopes dwindled. The money was running out. Lord Carnarvon had even summoned Carter back to England to tell him he was pulling the funding. It was the end of the line. But Carter, with his unwavering belief, managed to persuade his patron for just one more season. One final chance. He decided to search an area right below the tomb of Ramesses VI, a spot previously overlooked because it was covered by the remains of ancient workers' heads. It seemed an unlikely place for a royal burial. And then, on November 4th, 1922, the breakthrough came. A worker's water jug hit something solid. It wasn't rock. It was a step cut into the bedrock. Carter was called to the site, his heart pounding. As his team frantically cleared the sand and rubble, a full staircase began to emerge, leading down into the darkness. At the bottom was a sealed doorway, plastered and stamped with the necropolis seals of the jackal god Anubis. The seals were intact. This was it. After years of failure, he had found something untouched. Carter, trembling with excitement, sent a now famous telegram to Lord Carnarvon in England. At last have made wonderful discovery in Valley. A magnificent tomb with seals intact. Recovered same for your rival. Congratulations. He then had to endure a nail-biting 3-week wait for his patron to travel to Egypt. Imagine the discipline it took not to break through that door. Finally, on November 26th, with Carnarvon and his daughter by his side, Carter stood before the sealed entrance. He made a tiny breach in the top left corner of the doorway, large enough to fit a candle. The air inside, trapped for millennia, rushed out, extinguishing the flame. After letting the ancient air dissipate, he lit the candle again and peered inside. Lord Carnarvon, unable to bear the suspense any longer, asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter, utterly dumbfounded by the sight before him, could only manage to whisper the immortal words, "Yes, wonderful things." What he saw was just the antechamber, the first room. But it was filled to the brim with a chaotic jumble of gold and treasures. Gilded chariots dismantled and stacked against the walls, life-size statues of the king's standing guard, ornate couches carved in the shape of mythical beasts, alabaster vases, intricate game boards, and countless chests and boxes. It was a scene beyond his wildest dreams. The sheer quantity and preservation were unprecedented. Unlike other tombs, this one had seemingly escaped the worst of the ancient looters. There was evidence of a couple of break-ins shortly after the burial, but the priests had resealed the tomb, and it had remained hidden ever since. This first room was just the beginning. As they carefully began the monumental task of cataloging and removing over 5,000 individual artifacts from the antechamber, they discovered another sealed doorway, flanked by two sentinel statues of Tutankhamun. This, they knew, must lead to the burial chamber itself. The excitement was unbearable. On February 17, 1923, the team gathered to witness the opening of the burial chamber. As Carter chiseled away the plaster, a breathtaking sight was revealed. The room was almost entirely filled by a massive, gilded shrine. It was enormous, its surface gleaming with gold leaf and inlaid with brilliant blue faience. It was so large it left only a tiny passage around its sides. But this was just the first layer of a Russian doll-like puzzle. Inside this massive golden shrine was a second one, then a third, and finally, a fourth. Each one was more intricate and beautiful than the last. It took months of painstaking work to carefully dismantle each shrine. Finally, they reached the heart of the tomb, a magnificent quartzite sarcophagus. The lid alone weighed over a ton. With immense effort, they hoisted it open. Inside was not the mummy, but another coffin. This one, shaped like the king, was made of gilded wood. Its face was a stunning portrait of the young pharaoh. But the journey wasn't over. Inside this first coffin was a second coffin, also gilded and intricately decorated. And inside the second coffin lay the third and final one. When they opened it, the world gasped. This coffin was made of solid gold. It weighed over 240 pounds, a priceless masterpiece of ancient craftsmanship. And within this solid gold coffin lay the mummy of the boy king, Tutankhamun, who had died over 3,300 years before. His face was covered by the most iconic artifact of all, the stunning gold and death mask. Weighing 22 pounds and crafted from solid gold, lapis lazuli, and other semi-precious stones, it is perhaps the most famous and beautiful object ever recovered from antiquity. The discovery sent shockwaves across the globe. Tut mania swept the world. The find influenced everything from fashion and jewelry to architecture and film. It gave us an unprecedented, intimate look into the life and death of an Egyptian pharaoh. Every object, from the grand golden thrones to the simple, well-worn sandals, told a story. They even found a lock of his grandmother's hair, tucked away in a miniature coffin. The contents of the tomb provided invaluable information about the art, technology, and daily life of the 18th dynasty, one of the most opulent periods in Egyptian history. But the story also has its dark side. Shortly after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon died suddenly from an infected mosquito bite. The media sensationalized his death, creating the legend of the curse of the Pharaohs, a myth that claimed anyone who disturbed the tomb would meet a swift and mysterious end. While it makes for a great story, statistical analysis has shown that the members of Carter's team did not die any earlier than would be expected. Howard Carter himself lived for another 16 years, dedicating his life to the meticulous conservation of the treasures he had uncovered. Today, the treasures of Tutankhamun are the crown jewels of the Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo, captivating millions of visitors. The discovery of his nearly intact tomb remains the most significant archaeological find of the 20th century. It wasn't just about the gold. It was about opening a time capsule, a direct window into a lost world. It was the culmination of one man's unshakable dream and a testament to the enduring mysteries that still lie buried beneath the sands of Egypt. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. What part of this incredible story amazes you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love history and archaeology as much as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories from the past. See you next time.